So, everybody feel into yourselves with caring intent, sensation, emotion, thought, judgment. Look at me, feeling into me with caring intent. Wonder what keys, sensing, feeling, wanting, thinking, judging. Look around at each other. Caring intent. Notice how it's a different group without Will here. Will had to go to a wedding. Human beings, our nervous systems are so sensitive. Just change one thing, one person, and everything changes. The whole intersubjective network of connections changes. We really live in swirling oceans of intersubjective energies. You were talking about Pat Ogden, Comey. She works with that in her work, body-centered work. Having people find what is unresolved in their lives and resolve it. And one of her heroes is a guy named Pierre Genet, who did trauma work in the first part of the 19th century. He worked with a lot of World War I veterans. And he found that the ones of PTSD were people that had felt unfinished in the traumatic experiences that they had. He found that people were unfinished and that if they could resolve their trauma to a subjective sense of triumph, that it dramatically reduced their PTSD experiences and symptoms. And to a certain extent, that's what the let go part of the feel, accept, act on, and let go is. There's a sense of triumph of finishing something and moving on, finishing something and moving on. Now, developmentally, we all started out as a particle smaller than an atom that expanded 14 billion years ago in the Big Bang, like that. And for 300,000 years, it just expanded, and it was going in ways that physicists have difficulty describing. It was an undifferentiated mass expanding, and then after 300,000 years of that, it began to differentiate into galaxies, etc. And we're on the second wave of galaxies in this universe. There was the first wave of stars that burned for about 1 million years and then burned out. And now we're on the second wave. And the universe is still expanding. Quantum theory says that once particles are connected, they're connected forever. And this is one explanation of the quantum field, whereby conscious intent affects how things are and wherever our conscious intent is. Now, this is significant for us because evolution progressed in certain ways. Ken Wilber said for a universe, you need 3 things. You need telos, which is stuff. You need logos, which are operational principles like gravity, electromagnetism. And you need eros, which is an evolutionary drive. And the evolutionary drive in this universe is to greater complexity, deeper consciousness, and greater integration. And on every evolutionary level, that's what we see. And there's a great book called The Universe Story by Swim, S-W-I-M-M-E, that describes this poetically. Now, particles to atoms, to molecules, to suns, planets, first life, prokaryote life, maybe 1 billion years ago. There was almost 500 million years of single-celled life in the oceans of Earth before it progressed to the next level. 500 million years of single-celled life before it progressed on to the next level. I personally think that chromosomes came from two worms, multicelled worms, that connected in a particular kind of way that created growth, because DNA and RNA have such a predictable sequence. But 500 million years ago, we had eukaryote cells, cells that had mitochondria, cells that had a nucleus. And then eros took off. And so we go from multi-celled, and then we have notochords, and then we have land animals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.